Hi there, and welcome to the Vixen Voice. Today, we are going to be talking about energy and confidence management. So, in my last episode, I talked about time management. If that's something you'd like to hear about, just go search for it. Friendly reminder if you're listening to us on your favorite podcast app, that we also have the full episodes of these solo episodes available on YouTube. I highly recommend you might want to check it out because these are kind of like coaching episodes. And that way, if you're watching on YouTube, you feel a little more engaged. You can sit there, take notes, and really engage and get value out of it. But if you're in your car right now, out running, listening to us, welcome. I hope that you take some tips away from today about how to become a better energy broker, as I call it. So everyone always talks about time management, right? But for me, time management is really managing your energy. And I've joked for years that I'm an energy broker. So I'm pretty blessed, maybe because I don't have kids and a significant other, but I know myself pretty well. And so I know what feeds my energy and what drains my energy. Now, I wasn't born knowing this, I just paid attention over time. So, if you're sitting here saying, yeah, April, I know what gives me energy and I know what drains my energy, congratulations. Give yourself permission to pay attention to that as you're planning your day, your week, and the projects you're working on, right? As you're saying yes or no to events. If you don't know, no big deal. Just start paying attention. I mean, awareness is 50% of the battle. So, what I'd highly recommend is if we all have those days where we're like, oh, it feels like somebody just put an IV in me and sucked my blood out, right? So if you have one of those moments, pay attention to what you were just doing. Probably what you were doing, maybe it's something you have to do, but it's not something you flow when doing or you don't love. And so it could be what I call an energy drain, right? Or if you have one of those days where you're just like, this is the best day ever, I feel amazing. Again, pay attention. What happened that day? Journal a little bit or talk it out loud to yourself, whatever you do to process. But really, the first step is to start noticing what gives you energy and what takes your energy. It's very, very important. Many of us should all over ourselves. So that's where we say, I should be doing this and I should be working out every day. I worked with a trainer who works specifically with women, and she said that women with our cycle and other elements, actually, we shouldn't necessarily it's not necessary that we should work out every day, right? So again, that's about knowing your biology and knowing your energy. So when we're talking about time management, I personally think that energy management is so critical. If you listen to that episode, I talk about time blocking. So you really want to cluster together the same type energy activities. That's really critical to maintaining your energy to the degree you can, right? And kind of play with it and test it. So today, I'm going to dive into some tips and a framework for helping you to manage your energy better. And at the end, I have a couple of tips on confidence management as well. Friendly reminder, I had a full episode on what is the Vixen Gathering, where I go through the 5 pillars. These are the foundational pillars of Vixen, and I really think they're the foundational pillars for any woman to kind of put yourself all back together. Most of us have cracks in our foundations, right? We overcommit ourselves. We want to say yes to everything. We probably don't take care of ourselves as well as we should. And I really believe that as women, we are the foundation of our families, our businesses, and most communities. So if our foundation is cracked, how much can we show up for others? And I'm going to talk about at the end of this, the true nature of feminine energy, and it's going to shock you. So hang in for that one, right? But, we really want to focus on making sure our foundation is solidified. And then when we do that, we can go for all those goals in our lives. We can make sure we're taking care of everyone. We can scale our businesses. But if we start scaling, growing, and taking care of others with a cracked foundation, we're just going to crack it further, right? So today we're going to talk about the continuation of the first pillar, which is time, energy, and confidence management. So really managing your time, energy, and confidence. And today, as I said, we're going to dig into energy management. And I'm going to share, stories that I've done to help myself, things that I've seen work with my clients, and things that science proves is correct and high productivity as well. So bear with me a moment. I'm going to pull up my notes here. And to kind of dig in, what I'd like to do is really invite you to be present in this moment. If you've heard me before, you know that I always do this. And this is part of energy management, right? Not splitting your attention between multiple things. Now, I know many people listen to podcasts as they're doing other things, so great, no worries. But the more you can be present with one thing, the better your energy sustains. So I'd like to invite you, even if you're doing something else, to kind of just feel your body, be present in this moment, take a couple of deep breaths if you need to, and really focus on loving yourself for a second, right? Really say, you know what? I deserve to have as much energy as possible. I deserve to have as much confidence as possible. This is what I want to gift myself in the next 20 to 30 minutes. So take a moment. If you have to close your eyes, maybe put your hand on your heart, get centered, and just repeat, I deserve to have as much energy as possible. I deserve to have as much confidence as possible. I deserve to take this 20 to 30 minutes to take care of myself and to fix my foundation. And just kind of sit with that for a second until you feel yourself come back into your body and feel really grounded. And by the way, that's a great tip. That's a quick little meditation you can do any time of day. I always feel after I meditate this abundance of energy. Not the crazy, Energizer bunny energy, but just like feeling relaxed and good throughout my body, feeling that I can do what I need to do. And it's almost like the energy of a river flowing, right? The river never stops because it's tired. It just flows naturally. So before we dig into tips, what I'd like to do is invite you to think, how do I ideally want to feel every day, right? Again, if you can, if you're not driving or you don't need your eyes open, close your eyes for a second. And really kind of imagine and feel what that ideal level of energy is. Do you really love being the Energizer bunny, hopping around everywhere, doing this, doing that? Do you kind of like flowing like the river? Do you like a more quiet presence of being there and being solid, but not maybe being so loud? Really, what's your ideal level of energy management? What makes you feel good? And as we go through the tips today, I'd really love you to keep that in your mind so that you have a goal. So today what we're going to talk about your infamous to-do list, and we're going to talk about how to do to-dos the Vixen way. We are also going to be talking about letting go. This is my secret sauce for having a fantastic year. We're going to talk about some additional energy tips and hacks. And finally, we're going to talk about how you can surrender more to live your best life. So the first thing is your to-do list. I don't know if you've heard of this term, but there's a term energy leaks. In fact, there's also a term energy vampires, right? So an energy vampire is a human being that sucks your energy. An energy leak could be anything. It could be that pile of laundry that's on the sofa across the room that's constantly stealing your energy and making you think about it. It could be trying to remember to pick your kid up from school. It could be that laundry list of items you have to do for launching your next project. So Anything basically unfinished or undone is an energy leak. I mean, heck, it could be a repair you need to have done on your house. Anything that steals your mental energy at some point in the day, it's going to actually drain you to have these things. So, having a to do list that is too long and too convoluted is a huge energy leak as well. What I really recommend is first figure out how you're going to keep your to do list. Look, I used to be the person that sticky notes were my favorite thing, right? I had a sticky note here, a sticky note there, a sticky note there. I also had a very frenetic energy and I loved operating that way. I don't know if I've gotten older or changed, but I don't like that anymore. I like to have a peaceful day. I like to flow through my day. I do love to be very high energy, but I don't want to be frenetic. So I had to wean myself off the sticky notes. Now I just use them to highlight something important on my notes, right? So I really recommend that you think about your system and your system for your to-do list. Does it give you energy or does it steal your energy? Or maybe it's a system like my sticky notes where it was great for me in my 20s and 30s when I was happy to bop around. But as I've become more peaceful, it's not a great system for me. I don't want to have sticky notes all over. By the way, too, if you visited my home, I like a very zen environment. I don't have things all over the place, right? That was different when I was younger. So having sticky notes all over the place steals my mental and visual energy because I'm constantly looking at them and being bothered by them. You may be someone who loves sticky notes. I know multiple multimillionaires who totally operate off sticky notes, right? So again, it's what feels best to you. But really give a thought to what technology or modality do I use? Personally, I love the Notes app on the Apple iPhone. If it were just me, I would totally use that. I love putting the little bubble in front and I like checking it off as I'm done, right? The problem was I have to interact my to-do list for work with my team. That wasn't a great way to share with my team. So now we have a project management system where all of our to-do lists go, right? So that we can see, share, etc. So again, just find that the way that works best for you. My personal to-dos now, I actually have two systems. I'm going to fib on myself. I have one on my fridge. That's for, okay, I have to do this absolutely today. Like when I'm catching a plane or something to remind me a quick checklist of everything I need in my suitcase or grabbing my passport, etc. But normally my to-do list, I use the Google Calendar. I have the tasks at the top of the Google Calendar. So again, that's for my personal to-do list. My work to-do list goes on Asana where the team can share. So this is a key tip. If you are combining your personal and your work to-do list, you're probably creating an energy leak. Think about it. If you're on work mode time and then you glance down and see something on your personal to-do list, you just got distracted, right? So I personally really like to have my work to-do list in one place so I know I'm focused on work when I'm knocking that out. And I have my personal to-do list at another place so that, again, when I'm doing that, I'm just focused on personal life and I'm not letting work steal my energy. So I highly recommend, that you separate those lists. Definitely personal and work. You might need to separate more than that. You might have a family to-do list, you might have a personal to-do list, and you might have a work to-do list. So my first recommendation is think about your system you're using and if it really serves you. And then second, think about which different lists you have to do. Here's another key. And I know this one's going to blow your mind, but you should not have more than 6 items on your daily to-do list, right? It's just not feasibly possible for you to do effectively more than 6 items. In fact, you're probably not going to get to all 6 items in a day. So, I stole this tip. I think it was Napoleon Hill had it in Think or Grow Rich, but this is what he taught. Rockefeller had him come in and train his team, and he told them they could only have 6 items on their to-do list. They would start with number one and they couldn't go to number two until number one was finished. And then they couldn't go to number three until number two was finished. So apparently, as soon as the system was implemented, the productivity and profitability of the company skyrocketed, right? So, such a simple idea, but so hard to stick to. So, let's say you have 6 items on your list and you're working on item number one. An emergency pops up and you have to pay attention to it. No problem. When you go back to the list, you go back to 1. You don't jump to number 6 because it looks more attractive at that time. You go finish number 1. And let's say at the end of the day, you only get 4 of the 6 items done. Or maybe you only get 2 done because they took a lot more time than you anticipated, or you had a lot of emergencies. Well, guess what? The remaining items just go to the top of the list for the next day. Super simple. Again, it just takes discipline to follow it. So 6 items. Now, if you want to have 6 to-dos on your work list and 6 to-dos on your home work list, that's up to you. I probably would recommend that 12 things to accomplish in a day between work and personal is a lot. But then again, you know what you can do with. So simply have your list, have no more than 6 items. You start with number 1. You don't go to number 2 until number 1 is complete. Because here's what happens as well. Let's say that you're doing number 1, you get distracted. I don't know, the kids need you for something, or there's a work emergency or a really important phone call you have to take, and it's beyond your control. You handle that. If you came back and went to number 6, you're not fully focused on number 6 because number 1 is still in your mind. So I hope this is ringing true. 6 items, start with number 1, go to number 2 when number 1 is done. If you don't finish it, the remaining items go to the top of the list the next day. So, really simple idea, but difficult to execute. Again, and separate where your work to do and your personal to-do list is. It's very much like, I'm in my home office now. I'm staring at the sofa across the room. If I had a pile of laundry on that sofa, I would be distracted right now. So my pile of laundry stays on the sofa in the living room, not in my office space. Not everybody has a distinct office space and home space. And if you're at the office, this is easy to do. But in today's hybrid world, really think about how you're treating your spaces because they really do affect your energy. So my first tip on having more energy is to organize your to-do list and don't put too much on them. Next, we're going to talk about letting go. I know this is a difficult concept for many of us, right? But remember I said at the beginning, think about, start paying attention to what sucks your energy and what gives you energy, right? What drains you and what fills you up. Now, some of you know this absolutely. Many don't, right? It's actually pretty natural to not know this if you have not paid attention because we aren't taught to think in this way, right? A great training I went through is Darren Hardy's Insane Productivity. It was the first time on a mental level that this concept was introduced to me years ago. And what he talks about is how the average CEO cannot focus for more than half an hour a day because they're split in so many ways. So he advocated that if you could focus for a pure 90 minutes, you are 3 timesing the production of your competition. Pretty cool idea, right? If you could just focus for 90 minutes in a day, think how productive you'd be. Now, I'm going to argue with that a little bit when we get to my miscellaneous tips. Science shows that high performers take a break every 50 minutes. So maybe you still allocate that 90 minutes to focus on your project, but at 52 minutes, you take a little break. Maybe you do a little meditation, like I mentioned. You close your eyes and you just kind of let yourself relax. And then when you get back to it, you're going to be a lot more focused. But again, you want to stay focused for that 50 minutes. If you're taking a break every 10 minutes, you're really going to lose focus. So again, we're going to talk about letting go now. So what I want you to do here, what I recommend is take time and make a list, or maybe you just pay attention every day. Heck, grab the notes on your phone, make a note of things you like, things you don't like, or things that suck your energy, right? So just keep this list of things you kind of feel you have to do, but you don't enjoy them or you feel depleted afterwards. So however you want to do that, just start keeping a list, or maybe dedicate time and think through your day of what you enjoy and what you don't enjoy. So I really encourage you to get a list of at least 10 things that you either don't like or that drains your energy or you feel you're pushing yourself to have to do, right? And by the way, sometimes these are things that you enjoy doing normally, but maybe you're too busy right now. So we'll talk about that in a second. But I want you to get a list of 10 items that you either don't like or that suck or drain your energy. And then next to them, you're going to designate what you're going to do to take them off your plate, right? So your choices are: you can delegate them to someone else, you can ditch them, maybe it's not important that these things are done, or number 3, you could write a check to fix the situation. So let's walk through those. For example, right now on my work email, I'm training my executive assistant to go through it for me and get rid of the stuff I don't need, because I get a lot of solicitations, junk emails, things like that, right? So she knows the things I'm interested in. If it's a solicitation that has to do with one of our projects, she's going to put it in a folder for me to look at. If it's an email from a client, it goes into a folder for me to look at. And, just the emails that I need to look at. So I've delegated sorting through my email to my executive assistant. What that does is when I go to my email, I get to respond immediately to my clients and take care of them as I should, instead of sorting through everything to get to that task, right? So responding to my clients gives me energy. It's part of my purpose. Sorting through the junk does not give me energy. So I've delegated that. In a perfect world, I don't think any of us could say this. We'd say, email's not important, I'm just not going to check it, right? So I'm going to ditch it. Or you could write a check. So maybe you don't have a virtual assistant or an assistant who could help you with the email. Maybe you have to go hire someone to come in, right? One time I was coaching this, and one of the women in the group said, "Oh, awesome. I hate washing dishes. I think from now on, my son can do it." So sometimes you can delegate in your house to someone else on your team. Sometimes you have to go hire. That same class, another woman said, "You know what? It really takes up half my Saturday cleaning the house, and I get less time with my family. So I think I'm going to think about hiring someone to come in twice a month and help me clean the house," right? So again, they're having to write a check. So you have to weigh if that makes sense to you. If you have someone in your family or in your team you can delegate to, that's option number 1. Here's one thing I'm ditching. So this month we have a lot of things going on. We have a lot of big projects that we're super excited to bring to our clients at Vixen. And while I enjoy cooking and I think it's important to my health to eat whole food, I just gave myself a pass that this month I'm not cooking, right? So I just ditched cooking for this month. Next month, I might be back to cooking. It doesn't mean I'm never going to cook again, but at this point in my life, it does not make sense for me to spend that time. So what I did was spend 2 hours one Sunday researching how I can still eat healthy whole food without cooking, and I put a plan in place for the month. Now I don't have to think about it again. By the way, I giggle a little because I can't tell you how many clients tell me, I don't know why it triggers me when my husband asks me what's for dinner. So deciding what's for dinner, if you can plan that ahead, it's such an energy saver. And then here's what I love to recommend. you probably can't execute all 10 things tomorrow, right? Circle one thing on that list and say, in 24 hours, I'm going to take some action to move forward, right? So let's say you decided you need someone to help you around the house. Great. You can shoot a text to all of your friends saying, hey, do you have somebody you like and trust who I might be able to hire to help me at my house? 24-hour action, right? You haven't solved the problem, but you've taken the first step, so you have momentum. So I'd really like to challenge you, make your list of 10 items, circle the one you're going to attack first within the next 24 hours, circle 3 of them that you're going to vow to accomplish in the next 90 days, okay? I don't think that's too difficult, but as you see these things start disappearing off your plate, I think you're going to be amazed at how your energy increases. So here's a couple of additional tasks, additional tips, sorry. As we're talking, have you thought about someone you need to hire? Just make a note. Maybe you don't know exactly what it looks like, but wow, it'd be great if I had someone to help me with this. Number 2, I think it's really important to know your personal core values, because things that are aligned with your core values are going to give you energy. Things that are not aligned with your personal core values are not going to give you energy. Again, if you don't know your personal core values, you can go look up that episode. So I have a full episode talking about defining and owning your personal core values. I'd love to have that conversation with you. And then my third tip is replace the time you saved, right? We're getting certain things off our list with joyful activities. If you go listen to the episode on time management, I talk about how making joy a category on your calendar is so important. It's such an important energy hack and such an important confidence hack as well. So maybe you're sitting there going, April, I don't know what brings me joy. I hear this all the time, right? So spend time, journal about it, spend a Sunday morning sipping your coffee, and just start making a list of things you enjoy. That way, when you have time for joy, you already have your list. You don't have to think about it, right? So make a list and schedule it out on your calendar. So time you save here, you might need it to put toward a project at work. You might need it to spend more time with your family. You might need it to rest. That's okay too. We're going to chat about that. But you want to make a list and you want to schedule that time. And I really, highly recommend that you not check your device. It could be your phone, it can be your computer, etc. first thing in the morning. Right? I had a client who fought me on this. I was coaching her. She walked me through her morning. First thing she checked was her email, her schedule. Then she would go make a cup of coffee, walk her dog, and call her mom. And I was like, how do you feel every morning? And she was like, I immediately panic. And so I said, okay, can you please go have the cup of coffee, walk your dog, and call your mom, spend an hour doing things you enjoy before you look at your email, your text message, or your calendar. And she went into a panic attack at this idea. We compromised on her taking 15 minutes every morning, having her cup of coffee, quick walk with the dog, and she agreed to try that. The next time I talked to her, her entire life had changed. Just by adding 15 minutes in the morning to do something she enjoyed, she was so much more peaceful, the panic went away, and in fact, she had expanded it to 30 minutes. So really think, what gives me energy? What brings me peace? And can I do that first thing in the morning? I love morning routines. Here's why. I was never a morning person, I have to tell you. I am now because I trained myself to be. I love my mornings because it's peaceful. No one needs me. I have full control of what's going on. Sometimes it's my favorite part of the day. So what can you carve out for yourself in the morning? I guarantee if you do that, you're going to have so much more energy during the day because you're not getting that hit first thing in the morning. Here's a couple of other little tips. Sleep. So high performance coaching recommends that you sleep 8 to 9 hours a night. I will tell you, I am religious about getting 7 to 8 hours of sleep a night. When I saw this 8 to 9, I was like, wow, can I try 9 hours of sleep a night? I rearranged everything. I tried it for 2 weeks. It did not work for me. I was groggy for 2 to 3 hours when I woke up. So I went back to my 8 hour routine. But if you're sitting here listening and you only get 5 or 6 hours of sleep a night, that's really detrimental to your health and your energy. Try. Maybe if you get 6 hours, try 7, right? Build up. Really play with your biorhythm and see what works best for you. Energy hack number 2, drink plenty of water. I always have water next to me all hours of the day. If I have to drive somewhere, I make a point of having a bottle of water with me so I get a whole bottle in on the drive, and same thing when I'm coming home. So how can you work drinking plenty of water into your day? Our bodies are like 80% water. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a nutritionist. I just know the days that I drink more water, I have a ton more energy, and it also is recommended by Science and High Performance Habits. And then refresh and reset every 50 minutes. If you listen to my episode on time management, I talk about why don't you have 25-minute meetings instead of 30? Why don't you have 50-minute meetings instead of 1 hour? I guarantee you can get the same amount accomplished during that period of time if you have efficient meetings, which we talk about in the time management episode. So you can just go search for that one. But every 50 minutes, if you refresh and reset, you're going to have such a more productive day. So again, for me, I personally like to just sit back and close my eyes, just being comfortable in my chair. Or I have a small balcony right outside my office. I'll go sit in the chair there, close my eyes, set an alarm in case I doze off, right? Give myself 10 minutes. Because in the world we live in today, we're looking at screens all the time. So a lot of times you're visually overwhelmed. Closing your eyes, even if it's for 30 seconds, can make such a huge difference in giving you your energy back. Another thing I have is one of those mini trampolines. In between Zoom calls, I'll go in there and walk around for a minute or bounce a little bit. So again, you know what gives you energy. Really focus on that and it can be 1 to 2 minutes of you just practicing being a human instead of jumping from one thing to the next. It's not like you have to take this huge 30-minute break every 50 minutes, but every 50 minutes, if you could take a 2 to 10-minute break, you're going to be so much more productive. And when you come back, reset. Okay, last hour I was focused on this. This hour I'm focusing on this. So a couple of tips here. I like to say know how to get out of your energy pickle. So we all have those moments where we're just kind of like, oh, I'd really love to take a nap. You see my physicality. I kind of get like that when I get tired or drained. And so, that happened to me one day. I had terrible internet connection. I had 3 podcast interviews in a day. It was taking an hour to upload each one because of my internet. And so normally that hour in between, I'm eating something, I'm changing, I'm refreshing and resetting myself so that I can show up for my next guest, full focus, full energy. Instead, I was sitting there watching this upload, which was kind of like watching paint dry. And I realized the second time around that I was in an energy pickle. I just felt myself, diminishing. And I had a guest who was showing up, giving of their valuable time. I needed to show up. I love to be there for my audience. So I put on country music and danced around the house for a couple of minutes. So know these little tricks that can get you out of those moments. And, again, in high performance coaching, we actually teach you some ways to generate energy that are kind of proven methods. Pro hack number 2. Beware of visual overstimulus. So this is what I'm talking about. When you're taking that break, please don't hop on your phone. Sometimes it's fun to go scroll through social media, but if you're going from the computer to the phone as your rest and reset, you're probably draining your energy a little bit more. So find some activities that are non-screen related that refresh and reset you. And then my pro hack number 3 is try to spend the first hour of your day device free. Again, you heard the battle with my client. She gave me 15 minutes and it changed her life, right? So try to spend the beginning of your day basically device free, and see what that does for you. Now, I have a couple of tips on confidence management. Confidence management is a little bit more unique to each individual and what their challenges are. So we really dive deep in that in coaching, in small groups, and in our Vixen mastermind. But here's some general tips I'd love to share with you. And this first one is a great energy management too. Watch who you talk to. So we talked about energy vampires. We could have a whole nother episode on that. But, if you're really excited about something, you need your confidence to go into that project. Don't go tell everyone about what you're excited about, because the law is not everyone's going to be excited as you are. And sometimes it's the people closest to us and who we love the most that can diminish that excitement. So know the people that are going to share your excitement, and know the people, even if you love them, who are not going to share your excitement. You have a right to guard your excitement, your energy, and your confidence, right? So really be careful who you share things with and when you share things, right? And then a couple of other things by the way, we have a full episode on boundaries as well. So setting strong boundaries protects your time, protects your energy, and protects your confidence, right? So a couple of other things I love to do for confidence management is I always start my day with gratitude. What are the good things that I'm super excited about in my life? What am I grateful for? And doing this every day becomes interesting because a lot of times some subtle things you don't realize pop up, right? And so it's really a beautiful practice if you start your morning with gratitude. Now, this can be you yourself, or you all by yourself. You could journal. If you have a significant other, I highly recommend trying to start the day by sharing what you're grateful for. If you spend the morning with your family, share what you're grateful for. Every time I see my nieces and my nephews and niece and we're having dinner, I ask them, what was the best part of your day? That's the beginning of our conversation every time, right? So start your day with gratitude. That just sets the right framework, and end your day by celebrating your wins. Again, this is most important to do for yourself. Reflect back on the good. Because as human beings, we have that 5% of the day that was bad that's running in our head like a reel, right? Well, if you fill your head with all the good parts of the day, all of your wins, and you celebrate them, you've just reset your mindset and reboosted your confidence. Again, if you can share these wins with your significant other, what a great bonding moment in your relationship. And if as a family you can share wins, that can be really beautiful too. But what I'm most worried about is you focusing on your wins. I really want you to become your biggest cheerleader. That's how you boost your confidence. So we're going to wrap up now and talk about how to surrender more. And you're thinking, April, I don't want to surrender. I want to conquer. I get it. Again, a whole nother episode talking about energy management. As women, we're actually built to receive, not to give, which doesn't mean we don't give, but we get our energy from receiving. And how many of us give all day and don't receive? So that is a huge energy hack. If anyone offers you something, receive it. Be graceful and thank them, and have a moment of celebration. It's really that simple. You're going to make them feel good and you're going to feel good. Second thing is, as women, we're actually built where we need rest. Our feminine energy needs time to recuperate and refresh. We are creative beings. I mean, think about it. As a woman, you can birth a child. There's nothing more amazing on earth. There's not a more creative endeavor than that. But you need your energy for the creativity. So it's okay to rest. It's okay to do nothing. In my opinion, there's a war against this, and women on earth right now, we're expected to do 10,000 things. We need time to rest. Please give yourself permission to rest. So what I'd love to wrap up by saying is, what did you love about today's chat? What was that one aha that you said, yes, I'm going to do that? And I want to ask, are you inspired to change something? And if so, what's your 24-hour plan to do it? So, what can you do immediately, that first step? And what's your 90-day plan to complete it? Give yourself a deadline so that you don't get distracted by something else. And finally, I want to ask, do you have a plan to add more joy into your life? Joy is so important and it's so underrated in today's world. Where do you find joy and how can you have more of it in your life? So I hope you enjoyed today the tips on energy management, confidence management. I love coaching on these things. It's so important to living a joyful and a productive life, right? And by the way, you can have joy without productivity. It's okay just to enjoy life. But anyway, thank you for joining me. I look forward to talking to you soon. Have a fantastic day. And I'm going to leave you with this thought. How can you bring more joy into your life? Thanks and have an awesome day.